Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. I thank you for joining us this evening as we celebrate a special month. This month of October is recognized nationally in the United States as National Women's Small Business Month. Let's say hooray, hooray for all the women who own small businesses that are contributing to this economy. Did you know that according to the SBA, nearly 12 million businesses in the United States are owned by women? I'm going to test your knowledge again. Did you know that globally, there was a study done as to the best cities that are well suited for women entrepreneurs, and three of the top three were in the United States, Boston, San Francisco being two of the top ones. So we're not doing too bad, right? I think that as we look at women and their progression in this country, it's exciting to see the explosive growth with regard to women owning small businesses and really taking charge of their future and contributing to society in different ways that are different than it was traditionally thought that they could contribute. So, this is an exciting time. We have a wonderful panel up for you today. I'm excited for you to hear their experiences, for them to share their insights, and for you to really hear their personal stories, right? It's about their personal journey. And I hope that you're able to take away tidbits to give you the strength to kind of push through some of the difficulties that you may be experiencing as a young professional or a young woman who's starting her own business, but also understanding that there is triumph, there is victory, that we are making headway. And I think that's something that we have to stop and celebrate. I don't think we do it enough. So, hey, we get a special month, so we're going to do it, even though we do it outside of October as well. So, welcome. My name is Shahira Jerk Gellin, and I'm the founder and president of the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce. And you are here to engage in this panel called Women in Business that we've put together for you this evening. Before we get into our panel, I do want to introduce our sponsor, as Comerica Bank has made this panel possible. We're excited to welcome Comerica Bank this year as a partner. And at this time, I do want to bring on Coach Mo, as she's affectionately known to many, but Monique Coker, so she can talk to you a little bit about the bank and why it was important for her to get involved with the chamber. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Queen. I'm excited to be here on behalf of Comerica Bank. As we think about areas of opportunity to be responsive and innovative, I can only think of the partnerships that I have started to build, especially with the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce that is being led by yourself. Giving opportunities for people to have platforms that have small businesses, I feel is so necessary outside of just the standard technical assistance workshops and the educational workshops. We also have to hear that someone went through the same thing that I might be going through, and I can overcome it as well. So, as we continue to partner to raise expectations in the communities that we serve, I'm proud to partner with you, not only from an organization, but as a business and community advocate and leader yourself. So thank you for allowing Comerica Bank to sponsor this event. I'm looking forward to all the information that we're going to hear tonight.
Thank you so much, Monique. And we appreciate your partnership and how really you sought out the chamber to say, how can we help? How can we partner? We want to make sure we're having an impact in our community. So I thank you again and look forward to us doing many, many more things together. So we're going to give you a virtual hand clap. Thank you for joining us this evening. And thank you once again to Comerica Bank for sponsoring this event. I'm going to test your knowledge again. Do you know how many employees women-owned businesses have? According to the SBA, 9.2 million. Yeah, women-owned businesses have a huge impact, and we need to quantify that and recognize that. So to help me with this conversation this evening, we have a special guest moderator today, which I'm very excited to introduce to you all. It's Natasha Harrison, Esquire. She's an experienced trial attorney with an extensive background in mass and complex tort litigation, personal injury, and criminal defense. Her focus in law school and early practice was in criminal international and in international law. However, she now devotes most of her time to personal injury law. And you can find her on Instagram as she's affectionately known and popularly known as the Lit Lawyer. Hey, Natasha.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for that introduction.
Oh, no problem. Look, we got to keep it upbeat and interesting. And you look, you're doing some really, cool things, making sure you're active in the community yourself. So I wanted to make sure you were included in this panel as a moderator because you do some really cool things in the community as well.
Thank you.
So yeah, yeah.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you here. And now we're going to go ahead and introduce our two panelists who I'm extremely happy to present to you today. First up is Jocelyn Carter-Miller, who is the president of Tech Ed Ventures and Soul Transync Entrepreneurial Ventures, specializing in development and marketing of high-performance educational and personal community empowerment programming. She also leads Jocelyn Carter-Miller LLC, a business consulting firm. I love that. I love that. We got to incorporate ourselves. Think of Kellogg. These are family names, okay? Jocelyn serves on corporate boards of Principal Financial Group, Inc., Interpublic Group, Inc., and Arlo Technologies, Inc. And she's also served on Netgear, Inc. board until August 2018. Now, she recently joined the private board of Backblaze, Inc., a cloud storage and data backup company where she serves as lead director and compensation committee chair. She also serves on several nonprofit boards, including NACD National and the Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. Yay! So please say hello and welcome Mrs. Jocelyn Carter-Miller. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here. And I thank you for inviting me to share perspectives and insights, Shahila, with this really dynamic group.
All right. Thank you for being here. And last but definitely not least, we have Garrie Harris. With more than 20 years of staffing experience and fueled by a burning passion for what she does, Garrie Harris has built Alpha1 Staffing into a business with a true heart for employees and employers. Under her vision, Alpha1 Staffing partners with businesses providing solutions for recruitment, assessment, training, development, and career management to outsourcing and workforce consulting. Garrie is an expert in maintaining long-term contractual relationships with companies across many industrial sectors and government municipalities throughout the Southeast region. And Garrie, I'm going to add to your bio, she's a powerhouse in government contracting on the federal level, county level. She is a woman all about her business, and I love that. Welcome, Garrie.
Thank you. Who was that you were describing? Wow, I need to meet her.
Oh, no, I love that. I love that. I just am
I'm
extremely
excited to be on the panel. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you all here. And so I'm going to let Natasha do her thing in moderating, and I'll hop on back if I see some questions online.
Okay, thanks so much,
Enjoy.
Shahila, esteemed panelists, Jocelyn Carter-Miller and Garrie Harris. And thank you also to our esteemed event sponsor. We appreciate it. I'm excited to learn. As the moderator, I have to do a job. I have one assignment here, but I'm going to be taking my little notes too, because running a business is not the easiest thing in the world. It's probably one of the hardest based upon things that I've accomplished thus far. But let's get into it. We have introduced the panelists, but before we go beyond or get really into what we're going to be discussing with regard to women-owned businesses, if you both can share with our audience just a little bit beyond the introductions, whatever you would like to share with them about yourselves individually, in your background, I'd appreciate it. If we can start with you, Miss Jocelyn.
Okay, well, thank you, Natasha, and excited to have you moderating this panel and certainly to be here with Garrie. So thank you both. Right now, we're really in a time of great change and great passion. So rather than just reciting my bio, which you can read on LinkedIn and certainly the Chamber's website, I like to tell you a little bit about my mission, my passion, my values. So for me, since I was in my early 20s, my mission has been about being a positive, uh, a positive force in the world, having a positive impact. And with that, I felt it was very important to not only do that for myself, but to help others, especially those who are like me. And I wanted to do it in a way that show my values, the ones that I had learned from my parents and believed in all my life: generosity, kindness, compassion. So everything I did in a career went around making that happen. When I was in college, my advisor told me that my major, which was science, was not what was going to impact the world, but that it was business that was going to set the world's agenda. And with that, I decided to change my major from science to accounting and became a CPA. And then, since I was a junior when I made that choice, I decided I need to enhance my business background. So I went to business school and got an MBA in finance and marketing. And armed with that, I joined consulting, one of the largest in the world. And what I learned there was the way that big business thought, what the issues were, how the senior executives looked at issues. And I took that knowledge with me into Fortune 500 corporate world. And in the corporate world, I was able to rise through the ranks, become a vice president, become a general manager for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, Latin America, and to become a chief marketing officer, and ultimately to serve on corporate boards. And that experience really taught me about promoting products and services, about running profitable businesses, about developing young, bright talent to partner with and team with, and also about understanding foreign cultures and environments and building that kind of broad worldwide network. There came a point in my career where I recognized that, these same skills that I've learned in corporate America can work in an entrepreneurial environment. And I joined my husband with Tech Adventures. And we developed and managed charter schools in high-risk communities, inspired young teenagers, many of whom now have graduated from college and have gone on to have successful adult lives. And then sold TransSync, which creates the tools, meditation tools, self-awareness, self-acceptance, and ultimately self-empowerment through the workshops and the tools from there. And then I have to tell you my most recent entrepreneurial venture, and that's based on a hobby that I developed with my girlfriend, Ruth Cyrus, which is a free app. And you can download the app from the Apple App Store or Google Play, called Seek and Find Design. And that's for all of you out there who are design enthusiasts and who love shopping and watching HGTV. You know who you are. To develop a community that can help provide answers, whether it's how to get a certain look or find a unique piece for others in the community so that you can save time and save money while you're designing. So I'm very excited about all that. And I say all this to just tell you that I feel like I'm just getting started. So who knows what's next, but I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. Okay, I want to comment on so many things, but mostly I just want to say that I am excited for you that you're so excited and you've accomplished so much and you really feel like, it sounds like you feel like that is all kind of practice and learning that will guide you into when you do feel like you really are getting started. But that's awesome. Okay, Miss Garrie, what can you share with us about yourself?
Yes. Thank you, Jocelyn. Listening to your background is very similar to my background, and I won't go over a lot of things, but I just wanted to say that from a young age, I understood the entrepreneurial world. My father was owner of a construction company, And I grew up in Fort Myers, and I realized that being a Black man in the 60s and having a successful construction company was a story to be told in itself. But looking at the construction company from the inside out, I realized that owning your own business was not something that I wanted to do. So I decided that I wanted to go to college, and I actually wanted to be a lawyer, Natasha, you know, and go that route. And that was not in the cards for me. I decided to get married right out of college and move to this area and start working in banking. And you know, like most of us, we rose from an internship to a bank vice president to a vice president of banking, and leading 17 or 18 different branches in state in Southwest Florida. But then I realized that banking wasn't for me, and I decided to go into the staffing industry and work for some major staffing companies. And I absolutely fell in love with the fact that I could change a person's entire future by giving them the right career or guiding them into the right career. So I did that for a number of years, and realized that if I can do it for them, I can do it for me. And that's what we decided to do. And I say we, my partners and I decided to open up Alpha1 Staffing back in 2007. I don't know if you all remember 2007, but it was a lot like the pandemic that we are in now. But in 2019, it was bad. It was really, really bad. It was probably the worst time to open up a staffing company. But we made it through, and we're here now. And, it's still a passion of mine. And it's a passion of mine for Black women to be a part of my organization. 90% of my staff is women, and I'm proud of that. My company is women, and we just love the fact that we are empowering so many women and touching lives every day. Not that we just employ women, but my back office team is comprised of 90% women. So I'm proud of that, and I'm proud to be here today and share some knowledge.
You absolutely should be proud of that. That is amazing. Utterly amazing. And I think that a trend here, and I can say for myself as well, is that regardless of what we do, it's people centered. It's focused on helping others and being a contribution to society and making others' lives better. So I commend y'all for that, because it's really hard these days to stay focused on everything else outside of just trying to stay alive, pretty much, like get the bills paid and survive all of this. And I will also add that 2007 is when I graduated college.
Okay.
And I was not ready to go to law school right away. So I thought, I'll just get a job. I couldn't get a job. And I learned the hard way through experience what recession means, because that was the first recession I knew about, and it was tough. So for you to have started a business in 2007 and for it to still be thriving.
Thank you.
So now you touched on it a little bit with regard to, your individual path to entrepreneurship, to being entrepreneurs. Ms. Harris, you said that you realized that that's not actually what you wanted to do by seeing your father and growing up in that environment. But if you could just tell us a little bit about your business and how it led to you still being an entrepreneur, even though you started off saying that's not what you wanted to do. How did you still end up owning your own business? And now 14 years later, how do you feel about that?
Well, I feel great about that. Again, because we're still here, and I'll just start where I left off, and that was in 2007 when you could not, we couldn't give people away if we wanted to. So I started reaching out to nonprofit organizations, such as not-for-profit, such as Career Source and other entities, to start doing payrolling services. So what we figured out is there was a need between the actual getting the funds from whatever entity they were getting it from, whether it was a grant or being reimbursed by the state or the county, there was a lag in their funds. So if we could provide payroll services and give them a 30-day float, it gave them a way of using their funds in a different way. So in that way, we became innovative, and we got our name out there as this bridge for, again, not-for-profit organizations. That kind of led us to a couple of years later, with that resume behind us and some references, we decided to go after a large contract with Miami-Dade County, which became a mega contract. It lasted 5 years. It was a $110 million contract, and Alpha1 Staffing bid and won a portion of it. But we didn't come in, if you know contracting, you know that comes in, or if you don't know contracting, there's usually a primary, a secondary, and a third vendor who will be able to place or perform those services. We came in third, but because we did so well and we had such a great reputation, we flipped that, and we actually were the primary vendor for most services, because they kind of looked over the other vendors and came to Alpha1 Staffing. I can't say looked over because they have to go through a process, but you can get around pretty much anything that you want. So we were very proud of the fact that we stayed in that contract for 5 years, and that gave us, again, the stepping stone to move to other projects, because we would at any given time have 600 or 700 employees on payroll with the county in all departments, administrative, legal, clerical, janitors, when you name it, we had personnel there at the county buildings working all over Miami-Dade County. So when that process was winding down and it was over, it was time to move to other things. We moved to federal government and managed to get contracts with the Navy. And then, through that, we also started working with the state of Florida and became a major contract vendor for them as well. Our latest contract venture, and I'll stop here, is that we started to staff the COVID vaccine centers, and we staffed that throughout the state of Florida, hiring hundreds of personnel, hiring lots of women, and those for those 4 or 5 months that they were hiring, we were paying well above minimum wages. And this is something that we decided to do, going into our profit so that people could go home with a good paycheck, and making sure that they could, during this time of economic down, distraught, and everything was going crazy, at least you could make some money to pay your rent, feed your family, and have money left over. So that's kind of where we are now, and how we got into contracting and being able, your question, how did we survive? And that's how we survived.
Thanks. I told you I'm making some notes now. So I tried to mute so I don't interrupt. But so it sounds like the theme there, and what I took from it was recognizing a need, being innovative, and then taking those big chances. All right, Ms. Carter-Miller, what about your business, your journey, and your individual path to entrepreneurship?
Well, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, I realized that I had developed skills and talents and experience that would be useful in my husband's business. So that was a big part of me jumping from corporate America into entrepreneurship. But there was another part of that. And the other part of it is that I realized that as an entrepreneur, I'd have more freedom and more flexibility when it came to spending time with my daughters and raising our family, and even developing some personal time for me. And so that combination is kind of what drew me out of corporate America into entrepreneurship. Now, as you go on with that, Garrie talked a little bit about the stumbles and a little bit about the obstacles that you face when you do that. And I will say to you that in my path as an entrepreneur, there are obstacles. And the real trick here is to try to turn those obstacles into opportunities and to be resilient. And as I think about that, I'll just say to you that there are, I call the obstacles the people, the institutions, and their isms. I'm still a marketer, so you have to that. So the isms, so the racism, the sexism, the ageism, otherism, all the isms that you face. And as an entrepreneur, you face them even more. And within that, what I would say is a lot of times you find yourself in a position that you have to rely on the kindness of strangers, those mentors, those supporters, those influencers who will help you along the way. And I think I was very fortunate that I had those from corporate things. When we did Tech Adventures, Motorola, which was a company that my husband had worked for and that I had worked for, became one of our major sponsors and partners to help us launch and fund the schools that we were developing. And so I just, along the way, those who support you, and I was thinking about, as we've gone on to do new businesses and other businesses, who are those supporters, influencers, and mentors? And I will tell you that you find those. I found those in my husband. I find those in my girlfriends. I find those in different board members that I've worked for, different executives and leaders who I've come in contact with over the years. Those are the people who encourage you to keep moving forward when things get tough. So again, resilience is required for success, and you have to have that, but it also helps to have a support system around you.
That's awesome. It definitely takes a village. That doesn't stop us when you are no longer a child. We need a village around us too. Thank you so much for those tips and that insight with regard to your journey. Miss Garrie Harris, with regard to your experience as a woman-owned business that's focused on government contracting, if you can tell us, did you find things easier or more difficult? And if either or, explain that, then just discuss and share with us any obstacles that you had to overcome through your process in government contracting.
So the question, as I understand it, did I find it easier as a woman, or and the obstacles as a woman entrepreneur? Is that the question?
Sure. We're focused on women-owned business.
Okay.
And it might not be either, but do you think that played a part in making it any easier or any more difficult for you?
Absolutely. Say in the industry that I'm in and the road that we took, and that was kind of away from the mainstream private entities, because that was all mostly in the staffing industry. You find a lot of buddy, and staffing back in the day was all controlled by people who don't look like me. So we had to go into the places where if you're contracting and you are on paper, then that's not necessarily seen that I don't look like everyone else. But as being a female and having that category to check off made it easier to get Alpha1 Staffing in the door with municipalities, state, and federal. But it's not any easier once you open that door. You still have to perform at a level greater, in my opinion, than counterparts who don't, again, necessarily may not be a female and may not be a minority female. So the advantage is it gets you in the door. The disadvantage to, I believe that once you in the door and people realize who you are, you have to work twice as hard to maintain that level of service. So, and that's Garrie Harris's opinion. So that's the way I see it.
That makes sense. And Ms. Jocelyn, if you could please share with us, your experience, including any obstacles that you've had to overcome as a female executive in the private sector. What factors or people helped you in the environment as you rose through the ranks? I know you spoke about, those relationships and having a support system. So if you could just, kind of just chat with us about that experience and any obstacles you've had to overcome as well.
Okay, well, as you can well imagine, when you are a tall Black woman in corporate America, there are obstacles. And so I certainly had obstacles. And I'll go back as far as college. I told you I switched my major and I became an accounting major. Well, as an accounting major, I was stumbling through the first few quizzes and having difficulty connecting. And I went to the professor to speak with him. And his response to me was, if you can't handle this, then you need to just drop my class. I don't have time to talk to you. And this was University of Illinois. So this was the first class. It was a survey class, over 100 students in the class. So I buckled down and I studied and I talked to people who were giving me pointers like, it's accounting, just follow the rules. And I did. And we took the first exam. After the first exam, the professor said, more of you should be like Jay Carter. Jay Carter is the highest score on this exam. And in fact, I want to meet Jay Carter. Would you come introduce yourself to me after class? So I, after class, went down to meet the professor. And he said, what are you doing here? Didn't I tell you if you can't handle this, you need to drop the class? And I said to him, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Jay Carter. And with that, it meant to me that, you know what? You can do anything that you dream of and you put your heart to and put your intentions on. And so I carried that with me in the corporate world. And in the corporate world, yes, there were a number of different challenges that I faced. So in my first consulting role, the managing director told me this was no finishing school. If they didn't want Blacks or women on their accounts, I wasn't going to get those assignments. At Motorola, when I was up to become the Latin American general manager, they said, Black women can't succeed there. You shouldn't have an opportunity to even run operations there. What are you thinking? At Mattel, as a product manager, when I was going for the position to become a product manager, I was told, oh, well, the team has chosen this administrative assistant with a high school diploma over you. The only thing that got me the job, though, was that the vice president said, which one of you directors is going to give up your career to train and teach this administrative assistant how to be a product manager? And when they thought about it was going to impact them, you'd be amazed how these people said, we think Jocelyn may be the one that should do this. And I would just tell you that at each one of those points, though, I talked about, the kindness of strangers. At each one of those points, there was someone who was there mentoring, supporting me, even if I didn't know that was the case. At Motorola, the then vice chair, Bob Browning, stood up for me, promoted me multiple times, and told the naysayers to back away, whether it was Latin America or chief marketing officer. There was a vice president and director, as I said, at Mattel who helped me. There was a South African accounting professor who, stood beside me at University of Illinois and became my advocate. So, yeah, there are obstacles. Obstacles because of the way you look. Obstacles because of the perspective that you have. Obstacles because people don't know you or trust you, or you don't, appear to be like them. But what I say is, again, resilience is required for success. Not to turn obstacles into opportunities. I'm a tall Black woman. It means that when you see me and there's only one or two of me in a room, then all of a sudden you remember me. Now you can remember me for good or bad. I try to make it for good. In terms of confidence, if you have confidence, that is fantastic. It's real. If you don't, fake it. Just imagine that people think that you're great and wonderful, and that you are great and wonderful, and can do whatever needs to be done. And the other piece is taking risks. I took the tough assignments, and as a Black person, as a woman, you'll get the tough assignments. You may have to be willing to move, whether that's locations, jobs, companies, departments, but you may have to do that. You may feel uncomfortable or afraid and have to be courageous and do it anyway. So these are the kinds of things that you face in corporate America and elsewhere in life. You need to be resilient and move forward. Natasha, I know you're saying something brilliant.
Yes, I'll share for Miss J. Carter. I like that, actually. That was great. So turn obstacles into opportunity, and if you don't have confidence, fake it until you develop it. Nothing. So that over the course of, I guess the 10 years, because y'all can't be a day over, 30 or so. So over the, your journey along the way, those are the obstacles that you've had to endure and clearly have more than overcome to, achieve the success that you have achieved. But what obstacles are you currently facing as a woman in business, and how are you currently navigating those obstacles? Ms. Harris, I'm gonna start with you. Garrie.
I think for Alpha1 Staffing, we have reached a level of success that would be measured as being very good. Our obstacles and where we're struggling now is we need to move to the next level. We need to now move out of that government sector into private sector employers and compete in that arena. And the pandemic, along with the George Floyd movement, has opened up opportunities that we have been trying to obtain for the last 14 years that we have been in business. We have companies, major companies that are looking to do business with African American female-owned entities. They are seeking us out. They're calling. They're asking for contractual relationships. But the problem there lies in the fact that now we have to shore up our back office, make sure that we have the right people in place. So the growth that we're experiencing now has not caught up with the demand. Now that's a good thing. I mean, that's great. But when you have been used to operating in a certain bubble at a certain level, you're now operating on a whole new level. And all of those people that you wanted to compete with in the past, this whole situation has put you eye to eye with them, and you realize that you're not ready internally. So I think that's where we are now in this whole process, and looking back at ourselves and trying to figure out and maneuver and bringing in expertise and software and things that that is required to operate on that level. As I said, it's great to be wanted, but once you get in the room, like I mentioned before, now you have to be able to perform at that level, and that in itself is creating a lot of sleepless nights, I would say, for me and my team. And so, again, just trying to maneuver around that and figure out how we're going to keep our name and our success at the level that we're used to, and continue to grow and expand.
That's awesome, and that's definitely a good problem to have. And I'm praying that the circumstances align. I'm also glad to hear that the George Floyd movement and related movements are continuing to have benefits for our community. So what about you, Ms. J. Carter?
Absolutely. I just want to add to that. And what it has done, it has allowed us to hire in different sectors and hire more personnel. And that means that, those dollars are circulating in our communities. So we hire people at a good rate, and they're able to, do business with other people. And that's something that we're extremely proud of, that we can assist and actually, provide a great career for people who sometimes would have struggled to get their foot in the door. In the temporary help or contract world, there was a lot of stigma attached to that at some point. Now the flexibility of working in these type of positions have attracted more people to the contract world, because we don't know what's happening, so people don't want to take a long-term assignment. So this has also been an avenue of helping out the community as well, that we're proud of.
Awesome, thanks for adding that. Ms. J. Carter, same question.
One of the big obstacles that I and my partner, Ruth Cyrus, are facing right now is the launching of our Seek and Find Design app. And I know for Carlene, Seek and Find Design is the name of our app. And we're doing so without a big media budget. And both of us come from large marketing departments and major corporations. So we're learning how to do things on a shoestring. So that means social media and word of mouth, and a whole different type of marketing to be able to make that successful. And it's a free app, and we know that the value of this increases to our users when there's a broad community of people participating. So that's a big challenge that we're facing. We've got to learn new skills, new ways of marketing. We've been learning new technical things. Her daughter is technical. My daughter is marketing at TikTok. So between the two of them, they're trying to tutor us and bring us up to speed so that we can do that. On the other side, for my consulting business, the question is, who do I target? I'm working with a number of people, and I seem to be very popular with pre-IPO companies. Those are companies that are private, that want to go public, and how to help them get there. But that's really time consuming. And so the question becomes, how much time do I put towards that and expanding that? How much of my personal time? And to Garrie's point, how can I bring others in and have them help and be a part of this, and still make sure that you're maintaining a really high caliber, high quality product while providing them with great opportunities as well.
Those are awesome. And I will say, I'm not a Gen Zer, but TikTok is the move. I recently read an article that these big, huge corporations that have tons of money to spend on marketing are spending lots of it in areas like TikTok, influencers and things like that.
Yes.
Best of luck. I know firsthand how difficult marketing can be. So thank you all for sharing so much about your personal journeys and experiences, obstacles, hurdles that you've had to overcome. But we all know what happened to so many women during the pandemic, the quarantine, and all the effects related to the COVID pandemic. Many women had to leave the workforce. They had to stay at home. They had to prioritize childcare, be teacher, mom, and whatever their job title is. Based your observations and your own life experiences, do you think that women are progressing? And Miss Jocelyn, Miss J. Carter, I'm going to start with you because I know that you being able to kind of balance out your work and home life and spend more time at home was one of your motivations. So, what do you think about women as a whole?
As a whole, there's no question that women certainly have progressed since I initially entered the workforce. Clearly, there are more opportunities, and it's not just for women, but for people of color as well. Garrie talked to since George Floyd. I will tell you that the big conversations in corporate boardrooms are about diversity, equity, and inclusion as a part of environmental, social, and governance, and how human capital can be used as a strategic asset to move businesses forward. And as a part of that, how people, and in particular women and people of color, can play ever increasing roles. And what I will say is what you see in the discussions, you see people talking about raising wages. You see people talking about allowing more flexible work structures, whether that's hybrid work, a combination of virtual in person, or remote work completely, or allowing people to live in different locations. All of these things, companies are really taking it seriously because there's a war for talent. And so women have a great opportunity to expand their businesses as well as their own careers. And in saying that, I will say, Natasha, you're absolutely right that a lot of women have left the workforce, but what they have left behind is providing opportunities for others and pushing for that flexibility to be able to do the kinds of things that women need to do to take care of themselves and their families.
That's a great perspective. Thank you. Miss Garrie?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback off of what Jocelyn has already said, and the fact that leaving those opportunities behind has opened up the doors for um, some seasoned professionals have left because of the pandemic, and that is opening the door for new and innovative young women to come into those spaces and really bring a breath of fresh air. We're talking about people who are near retirement or 10 years away, and women, they've decided that they're just going to stay home. They're done with the work place, and that could be an opportunity for a younger female or woman. I'm sorry. But on the other hand, the other side of that is that we have made great strides. But if we look at statistically, women unfortunately were the ones who had to decide not to go back into the workspace because of childcare and other circumstances. We know that childcare is a huge issue, and when it comes down to that factor, at the end of the day, it's usually the women that have to stay home and take care of the children. So I think the pandemic has said to employers that we recognize that these women are home and they're not coming back until we do something about this. So it has forced, the government and legislation to look at innovative ways where childcare can be taken care of, and hopefully they'll pass some of that soon. But it also has private employers looking at ways in which we can assist young women of that have children in maintaining their lifestyle and still working. For myself and my team, which is absolutely phenomenal, there are several of them who have young children who, for that first year, when school was out, they had to juggle the online school and work, and we gave them the flexibility of working those hours around the school, just the school hours. As long as the work was achieved, you could work that, and you had the ability to do it. There were no structured hours, so and that allowed my team to really understand that Alpha1 Staffing is invested in them, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can to support them. Now that school is back in, we still give them that flexibility because employers have to understand that women cannot be replaced in the workforce, and we have to make adjustments in order to keep that strong workforce a viable part of this economic wheel. So that's my opinion about women in the workplace, and if we've progressed or if we have progressed in the pandemic.
Yeah, both points, and both are very good perspectives that I have changed the way I think about a question like this from this point on, for sure. Alpha Staffing, someone's asking what the website is.
Yes.
Can we share that?
My website is www.alpha1, the numeric 1, staffing.com.
And the app is available, the design.
Seek, SEEK, and find, FIND, design, DESIGN. And it's available at the App Store, Apple App Store, or on Google Play.
Perfect. Okay, so thank you for that. But I just have to go back a little bit more into your own personal journey. And I want to know, we talked about what obstacles you had, what obstacles you have. What accomplishments make you both the most proud? Who wants to go first with that?
I will go first. I am proud to be a mother. I am proud to be a grandmother, and I'm proud to own Alpha1 Staffing. That makes me extremely happy. So I would say that those three things: motherhood, my extended family, my grandson, and being able to, as I said before, have people provide for their families in a meaningful way, and also help employers, because in this economy and day and age, employees are hard to find. So when we can find the right employee for an employer who has been struggling, we're very proud of that as well.
As you said, it is hard.
And so I'll echo my proudest accomplishments are my successful daughters. They really are, both of them. So Kimberly, who's a PhD candidate here in Florida, and Alexis, who is a really successful marketer at TikTok right now. So those are my most successful accomplishments, most proud accomplishments anyway.
I love that. I can't wait to see your palm through. So do you have any regrets with regard to your career?
For me, I have very few career regrets, because whether they were opportunities or jobs lost or that I left, I always seem to land on my feet and wind up in a better place. If I say most recently, if there's anything that I regret, recently I had an opportunity to join a very large Fortune 500 company board, but I didn't do it because of loyalty to a board that I've served on for a number of years. And that probably, in the scheme of driving careers, that probably was a mistake. But for me, the team, the people, the business uh, were more important than the next rung on the ladder. So
Oh,
I'll
well,
put that one
look,
up.
it's the loyalty for me. It's the loyalty for me. That will not go unrewarded.
Yes.
Miss Harris,
No regrets. No,
none?
no regrets. Everything was a learning experience, and when I look back over my career, again, as you mentioned, the successes and the failures were opportunity to improve, and they were a lesson in what not to do. And so I got a lot of that, but I don't have any regrets because my journey has been amazing. So, and I'm happy with that.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, one last question for the both of you. What advice would you give to a young lady who's growing up in the world of Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and all the other distractions? I mean, there are benefits to those things, the distractions. With an ever increasing focus on physical appearance, just the things that are relevant now and those obstacles that may be present for a young lady. What advice would you give to her?
And are you okay? Am I going first?
Yeah.
Okay. In the world that we're in employment, and we talk about this a lot, that those things, that social media is out there and it's going to be out there forever. So you really have to be careful in what you're posting. I would say that use social media to your advantage. I love social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I love it all. And it's an influence even for someone of my age. But don't fall into a trap where you have to feel that you have to compete with the people who are getting the most likes, that you have to undress, that you have to do immoral things, because again, that is going to follow you for the rest of your life. And you really don't want a future employer. You don't want a future husband. You don't want a future business associate. And if you open a business and you manage a business, you definitely don't want to have to go back and apologize for things that you have said and done on social media. We see it happening every day in the media. Someone has made some type of comment that is now reflective or uncovered. We think that it's buried, way down there, but they uncover it, and people have to apologize, and their careers are being changed because of things that they said or did on social media. So I would say just be very cautious and careful about posts, and know that you are your best self and you don't have to compete with others, and be proud of who you are.
Thank you.
What I would say is, clearly we've all seen the information recently that Instagram, young girls who use Instagram have low self-esteem and feel bad about themselves after the experience. So my advice to young women is simply be authentic, be you, love yourself, even the dark, bitchy sides of yourself, because you're all you've got, and know that you're enough. That would be my advice.
I love it. Thank y'all so much for all those gems that you just so freely dropped, like it was nothing. I appreciate it so much.
I love this, ladies. This has been such a wonderful conversation, and even more than that, a wonderful learning opportunity. I was soaking it up backstage. I was loving it. I learned that Garrie is on TikTok. Didn't know. I learned about Jay Carter. We know about Mr. Carter. Now we know about Jay Carter. But more seriously, on a more serious note, I learned. I think it's important to understand individual journeys, and I think we got some really good insight from you both today, because I think that helps us, Natasha and I, as younger women, navigating our careers, and operating small businesses, and organizations in the community on how we can maneuver and turn those obstacles into opportunities, and kind of really stand on the foundation that the women before us in our community have created. And we're out there every day creating that new story, that new what do I want to say, that new kind of avenue for other women to travel behind us, because we're all doing it in different industries, in different ways, in different parts of the community. So I want to say thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I will say we could be here all night because we had a couple more questions and comments, but we kind of had to shut that down. I'm glad that you all had the opportunity to get information about your app, Jocelyn, as well as your website, Garrie. So please look up these women and support them, as well as Natasha. She has her own law firm as well. I thoroughly enjoy this, and I think we definitely will do this live and do a round table next year to celebrate, because this is worthy of more than just one day and one panel. So thank you
Looking
all.
forward
Thank
to it.
you all.
Thank you.
Yay. Thank you all. This was
Thank you
wonderful.
for this platform.
No problem. Well, I hope you all had as good a time as I did tonight. I learned a lot from our panelists about, looking those obstacles really straight down in their face, just as Jocelyn did with her professor. I know some of you have had those experiences, or when, Garrie talked about, yeah, you feel confident. There may be some situations where it's kind of easy to get in, but once you get in, what are the heightened expectations because you are a woman or a woman of color, and kind of how to navigate that? How do you build yourself up to be ready for those situations and circumstances? But I think what we can all kind of pull from in this conversation tonight, what I'm hoping people pull from this conversation, is that no matter what the circumstances are, each of these women had a support system around them. They leaned on their husbands or family or friends and other coworkers around them, that saw their value to say, no, she's worthy of this opportunity. No, I will stand with you. In Garrie's case, yeah, no, we're going to give her a chance on this contract. She's the most qualified, and we're gonna go with her. Those are the types of people that women need to stand with them every day. So aside from the women listening today who are saying, I now have some inspiration to keep on going, let others who are listening understand that you can be that ally to stand with a young woman, or a seasoned executive, or a small business owner who happens to be a woman, to give her that chance to succeed and make her mark. So thank you once again for being here with us tonight. Thank you to our panelists and our moderator. I love you guys sincerely. And thank you all for joining us. And thank you for, stopping in and having this meaningful conversation during this special month with us. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.